Yeah, sorry. Okay, let's start again. My name is Lea Vaysova. I'm from Bulgaria and I'm a member of the left feminist organization, Les Femmes. And our work is dedicated to the topic of care work, social services, etc. Because we try to focus on the question how the social and economical inequalities intertwine with gender inequalities, which I can say that it's a really new thing for a feminist movement in Bulgaria because they are mainly focused on a topic of domestic violence and yeah.
Okay, but can you tell us because that
Sorry, I should just notice it.
do we need to start again?
No, no, no.
Okay.
I can repeat also if you want.
It's okay. Um, because a lot of that, care work is within the institution through social work, etc. Can you tell me more about the impact of this entire anti-gender movement within the institution itself? Because if we have like right-wing governments or very conservative governments, how that reflects in the institutions and what are the options for progress and change?
Okay, my collective emerged like 6 or 5 years ago when this really massive conservative anti-discourse emerged in Bulgaria also. So firstly, we were informal collective. We jumped into the feminist mobilization. We feel that there is really need to be part of this feminist mobilization. But as a consequence, actually, the conservatives, let's say it like this, like in a nutshell, won because the Istanbul Convention was rejected and it was pronounced as unconstitutional in Bulgaria. But the good thing is, as a consequence also, the feminist movement is going bigger and bigger, and there are many new collectives, as mine collective also. And of course, there are, like, let's say, for us was very important to deconstruct this discursive object of the anti-gender narrative, which was traditional family values, because they persist, as far as we all know, on the traditional family values, and that the Bulgarian nation is traditional one. So we try to deconstruct this notion because, of course, for us was very visible that the role of the women within this anti-gender discourse is for women to be a mother of the nation. So we ask ourselves, what does it mean to be actually mother in Bulgaria? Because, for example, we see this discourse around the traditional family's value as rooted in a socio-economical context. And also we see it as discourse which legitimize the retraditionalization, exactly, retraditionalization of family relations, which are connected with the withdrawal of welfare state, actually. I can say, for example, one topic which was very important for us is the lack of places in a kindergarten in Bulgaria, which is a problem mainly located in big cities, but you can imagine how it affects the life of the women, for example. And I can say also that there are, of course, feminized sector, which is a social sphere, and yeah, of course, the women there are very low paid, and there were also, and there are still also many women strike led by nurses, for example, but they don't recognize our feminist agenda as there. So that's why we decided that it's very important to start to work with a care worker, with social worker, and to make them a part of our feminist movement. So now our strategy is firstly to do a sociological field work. This is our first step because most of us are sociologists. So we contact care workers and social workers, and we make interviews with them. But actually, this sociological research is an activist approach because when we do interviews, we have time to, to listen them about their problems, to create a trust. And yeah, actually, we try to make them more vocal throughout our research. And then we will organize a big meeting among all those, social and care workers, and then we will try to politicize them in our feminist way.
Okay, you have answered my third question in both, but have you so far faced any resistance within the institutions or from other institutions, or do you expect to?
Well, of course, the specific in Bulgaria is that our social democratical party is very conservative. The head of the party is Cornelia Ninova. Her name is Cornelia Ninova, and she is not left at all. This is also a problem for us as a left feminist collective because we don't have any kind of political support. And Cornelia Ninova actually copy-pasted the agenda from the party Fidesz in Hungary. Yeah, it's a famous one. She called herself like women's, Orban or something like this. So you can imagine what kind of a agenda has this political party. Also, I can say that the other parties which are more familiar to the feminist agenda are liberal ones. So they are not very interested in such kind of problems as work rights, for example, labor rights actually, as labor rights or so they're more focused on human rights issues and more. They're looking more throughout the legislative perspective to the problem of a position of women in Bulgaria.
Okay, thank you. I just have one more question. It's not so much related to this, but what gives you joy and enthusiasm in your work? Where do you find it?
Oh, let me let me think. Well, actually, of course, the solidarity among the activists, and I think that we are on the right track. To be honest, I really think that we are on the right track because, as I told you, now the feminist movement is going bigger and bigger, and I think that this is the right way actually to reach our objectives in some way.
Okay, thank you.